Now to the district where we have team coverage on this weekend's violent cases.
Bob Barnard is getting reaction from city leaders, but we begin with Maureen Ume. She's live from D.C. Police Headquarters with the latest on the search for multiple gunmen. Maureen, good morning.
Good morning. A very violent weekend here in the district, and really not just in the district, nationally. A spate of shootings throughout some major cities, but here in D.C., the most prominent shooting happening at Nats Park on Saturday night when gunfire rang out as the game was in procession. Take a look.
The liquor store with our damn lawn chair, and you're allowed to do that. They can't do that up northwest. They can't do that up northeast. Make them go home.
All right, so the shooting happened, like I said, on Saturday evening during the Nats game against the Padres. There was sheer panic when these gunshots rang out by the third base gate. You saw people ducking and running for cover. You also saw people trying to shelter in place because they had been ordered to. The gunfire happening outside of the ballpark. And so police say the gunmen were in two cars. One of the cars was a Toyota Corolla, gray one that had tinted windows. It also had a missing hubcap. The other car was in fact recovered, but police are looking for that other car right now, the gray Toyota Corolla. 3 people were struck by bullets, 2 men and a woman. The woman that was hit is from Arlington. She was just outside leaving the game, waiting for her Uber when the bullet hit her.
If we were one of the biggest cities would defund the police, D.C. got tons of white liberals. It wasn't the black folk don't know nothing about no damn defund the police. We don't even know, like, well, defend the police. Black folks was chanting defend the police for several weeks before people came and corrected it. It's defund the police. Fund. Black folks like, oh, okay. I thought you said defend the police. Okay, all right. Defund the police, man. Like, black folk, they make that stuff up, man. We ain't know nothing about we didn't even know that was possible. Black folk didn't even know you could take money away from the police. We never even came up with nothing like that. So that was white liberals, and here in D.C. they got tons of them. I told y'all this last year I got caught in traffic. I was headed somewhere with my wife, and all of a sudden traffic just stops, and all you see is, you look up and all you see is pasty white cankles and the scent of bologna in the air and chanting, no racist bully, and like, what the hell? Y'all people are terrified of us. Y'all people be calling the police all the time. All y'all people do is call the police on black folk in D.C. I mean, rightfully so, but still, that's all y'all do. But this situation, even the white liberals, because if you go to a Nationals game, I've been to several, you can count the black people in there. There go a black person, there go a black person, there go a black person. You can count all the black people in there. So it's not even let's not even do that, okay? This is a 95% white crowd. This ain't like a Redskin game where you might have more, or a Wizards game where you have more, still predominantly white, but still this is a white crowd. A regular season baseball game, okay? This is a predominantly white crowd. And they was not chanting defund the police. They was chanting what we was chanting, defend the police, defend the police. They're like, shit. Listen, Jack. Let me tell you, man. That's some scary stuff, man. When somebody's shooting and it's a crowd of people and people stampede. I've been there before in that type of situation. People running over. Everybody's striking away. It's your instinct. It's not even like you're not even really trying to run people over. You're not like trying to be It's your body is doing it without you. It's just something. It's like you get swept up. A spirit takes over your body, and you just start running and pushing people. You try to get out the way. So people getting trampled and stuff like that. And all you want is the police to come, man. It neutralize the threat. Come to find out, the threat wasn't even... It wasn't no mass shooting inside the stadium. It was some homies outside the stadium. Shooting at each other, trying to kill each other. Wow.
3 people were struck by bullets, 2 men and a woman. The woman that was hit is from Arlington. She was just outside leaving the game, waiting for her Uber when the bullet hit her. She's expected to be okay, as the other 2 men are as well. Davey Martinez, the Nats manager, spoke about this, and you could just hear him getting choked up about the senseless violence. Take a listen.
I love this city. You know, the city's my home. It can get crazy. We all know that. And we all want to feel safe. I can tell you that inside this ballpark, I feel safer than ever. I really do. We care about each other. We don't want anybody getting hurt. So, like I said, for me yesterday, I try to protect as many people as possible.
The crazy thing about this Davey Martinez, the Nationals manager. You know, he played for the Orioles, long time player. It's 2021, and Blackistan has been in the shape it's been in for going on about 50 years, 40, 50 years. And this is the first time I've ever seen an athlete get choked up about it. Hispanic guy. Let that sizzle your spirit, man. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Put that in your hookah. Huh? Put that in your hookah and smoke it. This is the first time, well, for me. Hit 1 if you've seen a player get choked up about gun violence in the state of Blackistan, because he's talking about Blackistan. If you've watched any of my videos, you've seen the DC Gun Memorial. He's talking about Blackistan, okay? He's not talking about America, okay? He's not talking about Washington, D.C. as a whole. He's talking about black folk. The stand. Okay? I've never seen a player get choked up about it. And we're talking about 10,000 murders a year. Sometimes 9. But, you know, let's just be generous. And take the low number for the years where it's at its lowest. 8,000 murders a year. In Blackistan. Every year. We talking about a lot of death when you add the years up. Talking like 100,000 a decade, man. Shot down. Broad daylight. Outside. And it's the first time we ever seen a sports figure get choked up about it. Or express some emotion about it. And it's a Latino guy. Wow.
I love this city. You know, the city's my home. It can get crazy. We all know that. And we all want to feel safe. I can tell you that inside this ballpark, I feel safer than ever. I really do. We care about each other. We don't want anybody getting hurt. So, like I said, for me yesterday, I try to protect as many people as possible.
So again, police are searching for a suspect car. It's a gray Toyota Corolla with tinted windows, a missing hubcap, and temporary Virginia tags. That is one of two vehicles that were involved. A second one was recovered. Talking about the 6-year-old girl that was shot, that also happened this weekend. She was one of 6 people shot in Southeast D.C. This little girl was just riding her scooter, police say, when gunmen opened fire, hitting her. Unfortunately, the little girl passed away. Police are very upset. Police Chief Robert Conti saying his heart was broken and also calling these shooters cowards. They're also looking for a gray car involved in that shooting. Not sure if there's any connection between that shooting and what that's part. Doesn't look likely, but again, a gray car being sought in this case of the little girl. A $60,000 reward also being offered for information. That is the very latest here at police headquarters. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. Maureen, thank you. All of this recent violence has put the national spotlight on shootings in D.C., as well as gun violence that's claiming lives in big cities across the country. Here in the district, leaders are voicing their frustration.
All I'm hearing about, man, every day in D.C. is the gosh darn, that's how my she'd be like, gosh darn, the gosh darn Capitol riots. That's all I hear about every day. They're looking for a Capitol rioter. Here, they're looking for a Capitol rioter there. Just did a live stream. Make sure you join me for the live streams on Ock Nation TV, where we go around the country. Y'all just tell me what city, what's going on, and we'll go to your city and we'll see what's going on in your city. Well, today, when we was going live on Ock Nation TV, somebody said, let's go to Tampa. It's like, all right, cool, let's go to Tampa, man. See what's going on in Tampa Bay. Hunting down this man, Paul Hodgkins, gets 8 months in prison for role in January 6th insurrection. Tampa man who took selfie in Senate chamber faces sentencing in Capitol riots. In every city we go to, when I go live, first thing they talking about is some goddamn Capitol riots, man, where no one had a gun. This dude, think about it. The way they talk about it, you would think this dude was brandishing a gun or put a gun to some senator's head. His crime was taking a selfie in the Senate chamber. And you go to any city, St. Louis, Wichita, Des Moines, every city you go to, they're tracking down some Capitol rioter, and nobody had a gun, not one. And that's not even controversial. It's not even like they're saying those people had guns. They're not even like saying that. They like, they just don't talk about it. But nobody's saying anybody had a gun. There was 1,000 cops there. Nobody had a gun. But they was going to take over the government, and the guy with the moose hat was going to be the president. our next president. He was going to be sworn in as our next president. That's what I'm hearing about every day. A so-called riot where they let everybody in at the Capitol 7 months ago where nobody had a gun. And the punk cop was running from a bunch of people who didn't have guns. And they invited him to an inauguration for running from a bunch of people who didn't have guns. Not some of them had guns. None of them had guns. Not nary one of them. And the one cop who ran, they made a hero out of him. The cop who shot the white girl, they ain't even told us who it was. But the cop who ran, he a hero. He get to go to the inauguration and get to sit on stage with Kamala Harris. That's how bad they try to make that into something that it wasn't. Not saying that these people don't need to go to jail and all that stuff. But come on, man. It's been 7 months ago. Y'all ain't got nothing else to lead the news with.
All of this recent violence has put the national spotlight on shootings in D.C., as well as gun violence that's claiming lives in big cities across the country. Here in the district, leaders are voicing their frustration, saying the city has to do more. Fox 5's Bob Barnard is live in the district at the Wilson Building with more on this. Bob, good morning.
Hey, Jeanette, good morning to you. Yes, you got to believe officials are not only outraged and frustrated, but perhaps slightly embarrassed. First of all, you had Naya Courtney, a 6-year-old girl, out with her family in Southeast D.C. on Friday night. She was shot and killed. And then 24 hours later, the shooting during the 6th inning of the Nats-Padres game. There's been automatic gunfire. There have been young people arrested for armed carjackings in recent days here. Saturday night, or Saturday, after the shooting of Naya Courtney, but before the shooting at the ball game, Mayor Bowser spoke out. And then yesterday we also heard from Trayon White, who's the Ward 8 council member. 2 city officials, angry, outraged, frustrated, perhaps embarrassed. Here they are speaking out.
But if we don't start doing something drastic right now, like we put a lot of resources and time into the COVID pandemic. We're in a pandemic right now when it comes to this crime in this community. And we got to start acting like it.
I seen this brother before at a function over there in Southeast. You know, I think he's Ward 8 city councilman. I've heard a lot of people talk about this as a pandemic. Listen, man. The pandemic, somebody you don't know catches COVID, they go somewhere, and even if they die, you won't see it. They just a number. But as you going around, you see your man you ain't seen in 10 years, you don't think twice about going and dapping him up. You going into a building, you don't think, damn, I need to put some saran wrap on my hands before I touch that doorknob because the person who just touched it might have. Listen, with this gun violence, somebody get killed on the street right in front of you. And you checking your drawers because the fear that's going through your body as it happens. And it didn't even happen to you. Ask them people at that game. See how many people at that game had to check their drawers. The fear. These things happen in front of you. The body be laying there in the street. And the person who did it gets away scot-free most of the time. Whereas with COVID, it was COVID that did it. This is more terrifying and more dangerous than COVID. I wouldn't even compare the two. One, I don't even think, you know how I feel. I got the vaccine, but in a nation of 350 million people, 500,000 people, 90% of them senior citizens, dying, doesn't have that effect. If you live in Blackistan, where all this stuff happens, because all of it happens in Blackistan, and when I mean all of it, I mean 80% of it happens in Blackistan. I'm still waiting for y'all to show me the white community that's like any hood in DC. Just one white community that's like every hood in Baltimore, every hood in Philadelphia. Just one. Where they gotta have these things all the time. They always having something like this in DC. Where the mayor, the city councilman, this gotta stop. This happens all the time. If you subscribe to this channel, every city we go to, you could take a dart and throw it at a map. Put a map on the wall, throw a dart at it. Boom. Blindfold yourself, spin around, just throw a dart. Wherever that dart land, it's some black folk talking about this gotta stop. Put the gun down. Turn yourself in. Man, this is too much. We gotta stop. This is like a pandemic. Oh my God, we need this. We need that to help stop it. Everywhere, it's like this. So when I say that I think it's hopeless, I don't hear about you a coon, you hate yourself. Man, this stuff is hopeless, man. There's no hope of stopping this stuff.
But if we don't start doing something drastic right now, like we put a lot of resources and time into the COVID pandemic. We're in a pandemic right now when it comes to this crime in this community. And we got to start acting like it.
We all in the government, of course, are going to ask ourselves, what else can we do? What more can we do? What different programs? But at the end of the day, we're going to have to exercise some community responsibility for each other. Naya was killed. Somebody else could be killed tonight. Somebody else could be killed the next night. Because too many people are willing to use guns to solve whatever conflict there may be.
I will give Mayor Bowser some credit for this, for her language. She didn't do the run-of-the-mill obligatory, there are too many guns out here. Because it's a lot of communities in this country where every household has 10, 15 guns. And there's no murders. Even though most of those are in red states. None of those are blue states. But, and DC is a red state. I mean, DC is a blue state. DC is blue as the sky is blue. But she did use proper language. Too many people are willing to use guns. A lot of times what these Democrats like to do, they like to blame the gun. They try to act like the gun just said, there go Tyreek, bang. Nah, it ain't what happened. A person with the gun. Marquell had the gun and he shot Tyreek. The gun didn't just shoot Tyreek by itself. Marquell pointed the gun at Tyreek and squeezed the trigger. And that's a big step for a Democratic politician. They hate doing that. They love just acting like the gun just went off and shot. That little girl, the damn gun shot that little girl. No. Some grown Negroes or some teenage Negroes shot that little girl. And you need to say that when you're talking about it. It's very important that you say that, because words mean stuff. You keep talking about the gun. You know what I mean? Go to them little towns in Texas that y'all call sundown towns. That's a sundown town. Black folk can't go there after night. Ain't been a murder in that town in 20 years. Everybody got a gun. It's not guns. It's the sun. It's not the gun, it's the sun. Goddamn sun people.
We all in the government, of course, are going to ask ourselves, what else can we do? What more can we do? What different programs? But at the end of the day, we're going to have to exercise some community responsibility for each other. Naya was killed. Somebody else could be killed tonight. Somebody else could be killed the next night. Because too many people are willing to use guns to solve whatever conflict there may be.
Now, in a joint statement, Mark Lerner, the owner of the Nats, and Mayor Bowser said these senseless acts of gun violence will not destroy the ability for people to go out and have a good, enjoyable time in the city, but they are also outraged. They call it unacceptable. They both are saying that the ballpark and fans were not targets of Saturday night shooting, but the murder rate here, guys, is at a 16-year high in the nation's capital, and clearly there's outrage to go around.
There's an outrage, but people certainly want solutions. Thanks so much, Bob. In fact, it brings us to our Fox 5 Live Insta poll question this morning. We want to know, with the recent uptick in gun violence, do you feel safe in D.C.? There's still time to vote, and so far, 90% of you are saying no.
Just think about that. I'm a butter biscuit eating coon who happens to hate himself. And I do this YouTube to get butter biscuits from white people and do the white man's bidding. That's the only reason I make these videos. And one of my main talking points is that it's not safe in Blackistan. But Fox 5, probably the #1 station in DC as far as news, most reliable, did a survey. In a city that's 45% black and 45% white. Fox 5 did a survey in that city. And 90% of the people said they don't feel safe. Now, I don't expect an apology from all those that called me a coon. I don't expect an apology. Trust me, I don't. But let's just talk about that number, 90%. That's a huge number, Jack. If it would have been 51%, the news title could have read, the majority of the people in D.C. don't feel safe. And it could have been, damn, 51% of the people in D.C. don't feel safe. That's insane. The nation's capital. Where the president and all the congressmen and senators be at. They live most of the year. Wow. But it's not 50, it's not 60, it's not 70, it's not 80. It's 90% of the people don't feel safe. And I'm telling you, man, they could have taken this poll last year and it would have been the same thing. During the middle of defund the police, when all them white folks was yelling, defund the police, defund the police, and black folk, we ain't even know what we was yelling. We was yelling, defend the police, defend the police. White liberals like, oh, no. Wait a second. It's defund the police. He was like, oh, okay. Black folks were saying defend the police for weeks. The whole first couple of weeks of George Floyd protests, we was yelling defend the police. We ain't know what them white folks was talking about. Black folk ain't know you could defund the police. We didn't think that was possible. We didn't even think that was possible. Defund? You mean you can defund? You could take money? You can go to the lawmakers and they take black folk living in the black day. We always was like more police. We never knew that you could do that until you white liberals told us. We did not know you could do that. So we was yelling, defend the police. We was like, yeah, defend the police, defend the police. We thought it was like y'all was just like, it was like you was just trying to lure the police in, bait them in, and then we thought y'all was, working a move on the police. Like, yeah, defend the police. Then they come in and we was going to get them. But I didn't know what you was talking about. Y'all said defund the police. Okay, defund the police, defund the police. Then we took it over and we started saying it everywhere. We ain't come up with that shit. Now growing up in Detroit, somebody talking about defund the police. Some Negro growing up in North Philly talking about defund. Negro in South Central growing up talking about defund the police. Because you gotta remember, the people protesting weren't gangsters. These are regular working class black people. Black people with jobs and regular citizens, custodians and bus drivers and clerical assistants and florists, dental hygienists and paralegals, nurses. They ain't growing up on the south side of Richmond. Black person talking about, that ain't a thug, talking about defund the police. We got that from y'all white folks. We got that from white liberals. You never go back and find me a video, a tweet of any black person using that phrase before 2020. Go back through all the 60 Minutes pieces, the 2020 Nightline with Ted Koppel, all the documentaries, scope, and find me one black person that used that term. Ever. Before 2020. Okay, so the gun memorial's updated. So the little Naya, she wasn't even the last person to get killed. There was another person killed since then. Dara Northern. So the last 3 people to get killed in D.C. were females. Wow. Wow. And the reason I come to the gun memorial is just to show you. Look at these people, man. Look at these faces, man. Carmelo Duncan, age 1. 1-year-old boy shot dead in his father's car. Riding down the street. Gunshots rang out. He got hit. God. Man, it's the Black Gun Memorial. This ain't the gun memorial. This the Black Gun Memorial. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody on here black. Everybody. Want to go to Baltimore? Look. Look. Baltimore. And this is the entire country's like this. I promise you, go to any city, gunmemorial.org, and pick a city. And that's what it looked like. Nothing but black folk. I mean, nothing. That's why I get so pissed off when they say America has a gun problem. America don't have no gun violence problem. If it wasn't for us, America would be one of the safest countries in the world. America does not have a gun problem. We have a gun problem. And I can go to any city. Any city. I know you want me to go to Philly. I ain't even gonna go to Philly. But you, if this DC and Baltimore, could you imagine what Philly look like? I gotta do my own video. Philly doesn't need its own video.